A lot of what I want to talk about is not only just reflecting on the last 10 years of Ethereum, but also kind of how do we think about the Ethereum ecosystem moving forward. And I don't want to spend too much time on the past, but I actually do want to spend a little bit of time kind of going back to the early days. And I want to start with you, Joe, by asking, kind of 10 years in, what do you think has Ethereum achieved beyond your expectations?
So my expectations were pretty high, but I could take a stab at it. So back then, when Ethereum started, Bitcoin was quite young, and it was mostly crypto anarchists, and the ethos was kill the banks, shut down the central banks, and decentralization needed to start that way, I think. Ethereum had its share of crypto anarchists, but I think they, whoever they were, were more pragmatic.
Those who shall not be named.
Yeah, someone who is not me, and so back then, I think there wasn't really the belief amongst any but a very tight group that decentralization was a viable thing that could be merged into the real world at any point.
Yeah, my expectations were set really by Joe, by Vitalik, by all the visionaries. The expectations were really high, but I think that also we were observing the world changing. We were observing all of those things happening, and yeah, I felt that the institutions will go through that evolutionary phases of getting the adoption, and I feel that also I felt that it was my mission of moving from the institutional world to start building from zero by looking at the white papers, yellow papers, and building from zero my own implementations, and feeling that it's really permissionless, and I'm changing my own old world into the new one, and I'll observe everyone getting on board gradually, and my mission to make it evolution rather than the revolution, because as Joe, you say, you would expect the cypherpunk to kill the banks, and that sounded like revolution, right? But Bitcoin was much of this at the beginning, and I felt it doesn't have to be like that, and many of the crypto people refer to the books like Foundation, and a Foundation was very often talking about how to shorten that barbaric times, remove the revolution, and just lead the humanity to that progress, to shorten the times of uncertainty, and I think that's what we are doing by bringing everyone together, bridging it. Ethereum is fantastic at this, of welcoming both the cypherpunk people and the large banks and the payment systems and all the users, so it's great.
Might as well, Sreeram, I'll let you jump in too, yeah.
Oh yeah, I came into blockchains 2018. And when I looked at the Ethereum roadmap, one of the main things there was zero knowledge proofs, ZK rollups for scaling Ethereum. Even for an academic like me, it sounded too far-fetched that you would take an idea like that, which is very much in its infancy, and then say, hey, I'm going to bet this platform scaling on a technology that's never been built before. And today we sit here, learning as a ZK rollup. We have so many amazing teams actually built, all kinds of zero-knowledge scaling technology where you can do complex computations and then submit a simple proof the computation was done correctly. And it's to see that live and actually change the world, as the question asked, is insane. So that's what has wildly exceeded my expectation.
I mean, speaking of, I guess, maybe I'm kind of curious actually for Tomasz, is there anything else that you feel like is no longer true that was true 10 years ago about kind of how we thought about computing and crypto?
Yeah, I think we changed the world. So 10 years ago, we said the largest threat is centralization of financial systems. And now we feel like we already see the path forward, which is no longer centralized financial systems. It starts to feel obvious. It starts to feel like we know the path. It is just the integrations, bringing everyone on board, but we know how it happens. And it means that world doesn't exist anymore, but we changed it. It's not that the world was changing and now we just lost because we thought it would be different. We made it happen. Everyone here was participating in it. And I think the next 10 years, hopefully will be the same in a positive sense, that we think there are some threats, there is AI centralization, there are big challenges for the humanity, and through this technology we'll participate in that change again, and in 10 years we'll say that that world is no longer there, but that vision is here with us.
That's amazing. I'll do the honors for you, Joe, which is, what do you think is no longer true?
Sure. So in 2014, there wasn't the sense that everything was breaking down. So in 1980, life was, gentle, warm, and fuzzy. In the 90s, we gradually, as the 80-year super cycle from the end of World War II wore on, we got into more and more edge cases in terms of how the system of the world and technology was serving humanity. By the time the Patriot Act was passed in the United States, things started to get a little wonky. Top-down command and control started to get a little too controlling, a little too capable of controlling. And so, when financial crises started to develop in the aughts, because there's just too much debt in the system, Satoshi let out a cry in the form of the Bitcoin white paper. But still, we hadn't yet experienced COVID. We hadn't been locked down. We hadn't had cities, businesses, industries shut down, people losing their businesses and their jobs. So it was still a much more innocent time. So there really wasn't the need for this solution. And now there's a desperate need for us to evolve society, the global economy, in a more healthy direction. So top-down command and control is really great for building civilizations. It's really shitty for 99% of the people in those civilizations. And so Satoshi invented decentralized trust, showed us how to operationalize it. Vitalik and many others showed us how to build with the technology and so many different functionalities with decentralized protocols. And that adds a horizontal organizing capability, a horizontal layer to the vertical layer, which works really well. And so I think we have ways now where we can work our way out of this mess, and TradFi and the mainstream is starting to really understand that, appreciate it, and ask for it.
It's been a very uphill battle, but now you see acceptance, and that's kind of interesting.
Yep.
Okay, enough of the past. Let's jump right into now and the future. I'll start with Tomasz. So, scaling blobs, UX, and scaling the mainnet. These are Ethereum Foundation's 3 top priorities. My question is, how will we know that you're on track? And if there was a report card, what will we get as grades right now?
Yeah,
if you were getting a report,
we published in August, I think, or September, like August, September, we published 3 blog posts for each of those tracks.
Okay.
So each of those tracks have their respective 2 track leaders that are on the edge of research and engineering. And they publish the progress, and they keep sending reports to everyone on how much L1 is scaling. We have now the tracker of the Ethereum upgrades with forecast.org. We can track all the IPs, the timeline for the upgrades, and everything is actually heading to be on time. As for scaling L1, I think yesterday I was reading that we'll be maybe targeting 70 million barrier now, and we'll see whether 100 million gas will be achievable maybe by March next year. But there are some
context, that's
challenges
about
there.
3x the capacity than currently. So that's a big improvement per number of computations you can run per block.
And for everything else, so there are blog posts, and that's how we track it. And then at the end, March, June next year, we'll start talking so much more about the next year of goals. And we did a summary of the 1 year of efforts, 1 year of focus. We'll continue working on this, but generally everyone is informed.
Okay.
Everything's in the open.
I'll go a little bit deeper. What's the preview of what the next year's goals might be? I feel like you can never be done with scaling. So how do you think about like what's the next goal to hit?
We mostly agreed that we'll be talking about finality about privacy and security. So we say we accelerate it, but there are some very basic universal goals for Ethereum to always stay secure, safe, to continue delivering privacy. And the finality is the one thing that we've heard the most to be talked about. Sometimes about finality.
Maybe help people understand what finality is, so we have the non-technical
practically
audience
include a few components. So there'll be shorter slot times, most likely. There'll be free slot finality, so the time when you no longer, for sure, reverse transactions, even in catastrophic failures or very significant events on the consensus side. So we want to not only improve it, but also clarify it. So much of it on the finality will be education and clearer definitions between L2s and L1s, so everyone can very predictably judge which L2 provides what finality guarantees. And this will be very, very likely one of the major focuses for all core devs, for the researchers next year.
That's amazing.
Can I just point out that all of the goals of the Ethereum Foundation and the Ethereum community are all under the umbrella of the overarching goal, which is to maintain rigorous decentralization, to do it right the first time. That's hard. That takes a long time, or longer sometimes. But
I think the other nuance is that you're also never done. Like you can continuously make something better.
So we're building something extensible, infinitely extensible, horizontally, vertically, sideways, in high dimensions. Who knows how that's going to go? And because you've got this ever-expanding surface area, you're going to either open up edge cases, vulnerabilities, you're going to open up opportunities for actors to come in and centralize things and capture and consolidate power. So we always have to be vigilant against those sorts of threats.
That's amazing. Sreeram, for kind of how Ethereum started as a world computer, we've kind of seen a big shift in how we think about compute altogether, especially with AI. And I'm kind of curious to see how you think about the world moving forward, and where does kind of blockchain come into this equation?
Yeah, our thesis is always that Ethereum is the trust layer for humanity, right? So when you want to coordinate, you want to interact with each other, you need something to assure that, that the outcomes of those interactions are going to be predictable, reliable, immutable, all these properties that you want from these systems. So when you think about where trust plays a role in the upcoming AI agentic era, you see basically trust breakdown in every single kind of like strata, right? So for example, yesterday Sora released the video models. Now I can take Joe Lubin and like put him in a video that he has no idea what is going on, and it looks very real. So this is just the starting point of like this massive acceleration we are going to see in the AI era. How do I trust my counterparty? How do I know that an AI agent does what it says it does? How do I know that a system, how do I hold an AI to account? How do you hold these systems accountable? And I think these are all the questions for which I think we should be building, on extending Ethereum. So when you think about the journey of the world computer, the original Ethereum vision, what we see today has already happened or is tending to happen is the world ledger, right? It's a ledger where like we're all going to record, and we see the convergence not just from our own crypto world, but also from the rest of the banking world, where people are interested in settling and bringing Ethereum as the ledger of record. But the ledger is only one aspect of trust. The computations, like an AI executed correctly or a game executed correctly and then brought the results back on chain, these kinds of things are necessary. And I think that's what the original world computer vision encompasses. What we've learned is to do this, we need a scale of computation that goes far beyond what the Ethereum base layer can itself do. And so this was one of our original vision in building EigenLayer. Joe mentioned the infinite extensibility of Ethereum. And EigenLayer is one of the best examples of this property. You can come in and stake ETH and then secure not just the Ethereum network, but any other network that you can dream of. Any decentralized verifiable network can be built on top of this. And so that was the original idea of EigenLayer, Eigen in German for your own, your own layer. You can think of whatever you want to build and go and express that decentralized protocol on top of EigenLayer. And in this AI world, we just launched actually 2 days back these products called EigenCompute and EigenAI. These are 2 products that basically allow securing of arbitrary off-chain computation and arbitrary AI execution.
While still preserving determinism.
That's correct.
Okay.
So when you think about AI, one of the biggest problems that you have today is you go and interact with it multiple times, you don't even get the same answer. Some of it is by design. You want it actually to have some randomness. But there should be a way to control it where if you give the same random seed, you should get the same results. And so existing AI workflows and backends are not like that. And so part of what we did with EigenAI is to produce a fully deterministic AI inference pipeline. So if you go query to it multiple times, you'll get the same answer. Once you make this deterministic, you can actually build accountability mechanisms for it. Because if a single node comes in and stakes ETH and promises to run your AI execution correctly and doesn't run it, you can actually find it out because it's deterministic. You can re-execute it and check that it wasn't done correctly and penalize them. So this is part of our new primitives, I think, which are needed to unlock and bring trust to the AI and agentic era.
Amazing. It's similar to kind of what you just said, but I actually want to go down one layer sort of below this, which is understanding kind of how should people think about L2s now. You have a very successful layer 2 called Linea, and EF is spending a lot of time and effort on the engineering to scale the layer 1. How do we kind of see that intersection over the next couple of years? Should people just think about building on L1s directly? Should we still think L2s have their own place? How do the economics change? Kind of how do you both think about these from each of your perspectives?
So I can start and love to hear what you say also. So we set out to build a new kind of meta in our L2. We had the benefit of looking at the different L2s, optimistic L2s, some zero-knowledge L2s. We believe we built the best zero-knowledge EVM technology because we've got just maybe the best cryptographers, some of the best cryptographers in the space. But what we did was we recognized, yes, we needed to fragment the ecosystem, need to fragment liquidity. The Ethereum layer 1 needed to cede pricing power to the layer 2s to enable them to establish themselves and flourish. That's the roll-up-centric scalability roadmap. I think that has worked beautifully. So that was a divergent explorative phase. Now we're in this convergent phase where we figure out how to wire everything up so that it's more homogeneous and more coherent, and you don't really need to know where your token is, right, which network your token is on, and so we'll get that done with wallets and bridging systems.
Abstraction on top.
And intent-centric, lots of things. Most importantly, I think for Linea was that we decided that we needed to be 100% compatible with Ethereum. So all the execution clients sync to our network. Same bytecode basically, which is not true of the other rollups. And maybe most importantly, we wanted to support the mothership that effectively enabled us to exist, yeah. And so Ether is the token on the network, and we're burning 20% of the fees of every transaction. Then we're burning the rest of the fees in terms of Linea burning. And so we are hoping, we're not hoping that remains a competitive advantage for us. We're hoping to set an example. We're also hoping that, because we have 15% of the tokens allocated to Consensys, the company that built the thing, but we managed to convince our investors and our employees that we will all be better off if nobody else gets any tokens, except
there's a but there, I hope, right?
So it gives us 85% of the tokens to feed into the ecosystem, to grant to builders, to invest in builders, to grant for liquidity provision, to incentivize usage of the network. And so We're sitting at around $2 billion fully diluted value right now. So we've got
85% of that.
$1.6 billion ecosystem development fund.
I want to do a
and
more
we are explicitly
quicker one. Yeah.
Yeah, we're explicitly going to fund projects that are Linea aligned or Ethereum aligned. This is a way to start. We're actually starting out at a base where there's it's a good valuation. There's no sell pressure going forward, so it's a rock solid base, and we think we're going to be able to grow a really sturdy token economy that way.
It's nice that you say that, like, L2 willing to support mainnet, the Mattership, you say.
Crazy idea, isn't it?
At the same time, the Mattership wants to support all the L2s. So this is permissionlessness and working properly as planned. So we want as many L2s as possible with the customization, with the focus on particular region, the focus on particular niche in the market, some of them targeting more global approach. All the different kinds of innovation happening through the L2s, and that's how people expressing either limitations specific to their business or the new opportunities, new technology experimentations. But it doesn't mean that we don't want to continue improving the L1, scaling L1, and we scale L1 also for the L2s to be able to thrive. And through the L2s being able to thrive, the L1 is also thriving economically as well. Lots of liquidity is flowing to Ethereum mainnet because that liquidity knows that it's parked there to continuously try the higher risk explorations of the L2s, going to different markets and going to safe haven to Ethereum mainnet. And we see it in numbers. So each time the L2s are succeeding, each time new L2s are launching, we see now the perps L2s, the highly scalable L2s, all the different solutions, Linea, exchanges launching in Korea, here in Singapore, in Hong Kong. All of this improves Ethereum ecosystem, and we care a lot about the interoperability solutions that really benefits the entire ecosystem. And it's a lot of talking of ensuring that everyone feels very comfortable that that future together is assured by not only by technology, it's there, right? So it's permissionless, so technology assures that, but also by all the people building. They want to feel comfortable that we are here together for many years forward, believing together in that philosophy of the L2s. It matters. And yeah, I'm particularly for this year, I'm happy that we quickly discarded any questions about how the L2s L1 collaboration works, set it as part of the priorities for the protocol, and going very strong and seeing results of this now.
Amazing. We got
Kartik, I'll just add one thing there. On the L2s, there is the scaling of computation and execution, which is what the L2s are focusing on. There is also the scaling of the data throughput. That's also done on the L1 itself through blobs. But we've built EigenDA as a mechanism to get out of protocol scaling of data throughput. EigenDA runs at 100 megabytes per second, which is 1000x what blobs run at today. Not just that, it is 10x more throughput than all chains put together. So you can actually build tens of Solanas on top of EigenDA using, as an Ethereum L2. So the scope of this dance between the L1 scaling and out-of-protocol solutions like EigenLayer, EigenDA, rollups, scaling, helping support each other, I think is a really amazing thing happening in the Ethereum ecosystem.
Right, we got a minute left, and I have 2 more questions. So the new rule is no more than 10-word answers. We good? I'll start with Sreeram on this one. What do you think Vitalik's role should be for the next 10 years to help scale Ethereum?
I think Vitalik's role is the kind of
4 more words left.
Sorry?
4 more words left. You got to be careful.
4 more words. Be the visionary and the values holder of Ethereum.
He wants to work on hardware. Like he mentioned that last days.
So
Wants to
hardware
work on
engineering.
Verification of hardware.
Whatever the hell he wants to do, hopefully diverse.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And my last question, and you can have a single sentence on this one. Obviously, people are choosing between different ecosystems, different chains. We know what the roadmap looks like for the scalability of Ethereum. So as a founder who's thinking about building something on Ethereum, what advice would you give them as they consider which chain to pick to spend the next 10 years of their lives? I'll start with Jim.
So I would say don't worry about which chain. We're going to solve that. Everything will be abstracted, and you should just focus on what you care about. Get expert in it, or if you're a generalist, pick the topics that you care about. There's no better time to be coming of age or coming into the market or doing a career change than at the end of a super cycle when everything's falling apart because everything is going to be fresh. There's going to be a new social contract, a new system of the world, and you're going to be able to build it.
It's very easy to move between the chains on Ethereum, so wherever they feel the most supported, the most comfortable, most excited about the branding, they should go there.
The infra is ready. Be much, much more ambitious. The 4 apps we have in crypto are not enough. We came here to disrupt the entire economy, and we will not stop till we get there.
Parting advice, pick the ones with the best values that resonate with you. And with that, Sreeram, Tomasz, Joe, thank you so much for an amazing conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
There we go.